We're on Mem Gimel Amud Beis. I'm going to try to quickly bring us up. I just stopped like in the middle of a discussion because I didn't see a way to finish it. We had said we brought a brisa that said that you could have that it's usher to make a photo or a picture of the Levanos, the Shemesh and the Levana. We asked that Rav Gamliel kept such a thing in order to show it to the Eidim who would come for Kiddush HaChodesh. So he wanted to say that the Isser of making a picture of a Shemesh and Levana or making of celestial bodies is only those things that can be accurately depicted. You make an actual picture, which is obviously not possible on the sun and the moon. So we said, but even that l'chayre is aser, because it says l'sasen oiti l'sasen could musham sheyam misham shalafani b'mar. So Abaya answered, it's only no. The iser is only specifically this one demus which of dalit panim, which we said was like this. I still can't remember what it is. Something that has a lion and a person and the faces of an ox and of an eagle all combined. The Gemara asks if that's the case. If you're saying that, then a person itself should be motor. But we said that that's also. So he said no, that's a specific issue of a person. So you can't have with the four faces of the four animals, 3 animals plus a person, when you also can't have just a person. But other things are motive, right? Is that all true? But we have a brisa that says that you can't do. It gives examples. So we say no. We only ask those that are so those are above in the upper heavens, meaning the different types of heavenly beings. But that's so now we have 3 things that are asa, and we said each is specific. One is this thing of the mus of dalit panim. Secondly is the pirtz of Adam, and the third is the different types of heavenly creatures. So then the Gemara asks, is that true? V'atanya asher b'shamayim l'rabes cham levana kechav mazolos mimal l'rabes malachi esharis. So Gemara kitanya hi la'oivdam. That's where we're up to. When it said when it says that it's aser, in this last brisa, when it's talking about that it's aser, it doesn't mean it's aser to make them. It means it's aser to be oived them. So Gemara yeh la'oivdam. This is about 18 lines down from the top. And the Gemara asks, that should include even a worm. It means if you talk about the Ovid Avodah Zara, it doesn't make a difference what it is. Of course, you're not allowed to be Ovid. The Gemara ain't a chanami. And we say for the Koranafka, that's exactly what the price is coming to tell you. The Tanya Asher Ba'aretz l'Rabis Yom Naharis Harim Gvois L'Tachas L'Rabis Shilshul Cotton. That is exactly what the Bryce is telling you, that anything, even the greatest things from on top up in Shemayim down to a worm, any of them is also to be ovid. So really, the chiddush is the second part, that you chayav for being ovid, even a worm. Okay, Zaktamar Vasiya Geredosa Mishari, is one allowed to just create a picture of the sun and the moon? The Gemara says, but finally we have a brisa that says that it says exactly this. I mean, I don't know if this means that we're retracting what we had explained in the earlier brisa, because we still have to stick with that. The other one's talking being ovid, because it says about the worms. It's coming to tell you you're chayav being ovid that. But now we have a specific brisa that says you can't make a picture of of the Levana, the Shemesh and the Levana, Kohen Cham Levana Kachav Mazalis. And but the Gemara Shanim Lil Dacher Masulei. The Gemara finally gives a different answer and a different, instead of changing what the meaning of the brises are, it says that he had a guy make it for him. So there's an isser for a yid to make a Cham and Levana, but there's no isser to him for him to hire a guy, or if a guy made it, maybe he can. The Rishonim talk about whether he can hire a guy or if he can just, a guy had previously made it and he bought it. Where Yehuda had made for himself a picture of the Cham of a Avoda Zara, and he had a guy make it for him. But it was just a picture, not necessarily of a. Well, it's not clear what he made a picture of, either of the Cham and the Levana, or he made a picture of an Adam that you're not allowed to make. And he said, you got a Sami Einamididan, take away it. L'chayru was a picture of an Adam. He said, scratch out its eyes, take away its eyes from this ring that he had the guy make for him. So he said, no, over there, Ein Chanami, if a guy makes it for you, there's no isser in the making of a picture of a person, but the problem was that it was a signet ring that was used for stamping in wax, and the signet ring itself was sticking out. So you put it into the wax, it would make a depression in the wax. There was a gzeres hakosov, there was a gzeres hachamim, I'm sorry, that one should not have something what looks like a mini statue on your signet, on your ring, that they were chaysha that people would see it and think that he was over Avodah Zarah. The Tanya Tabasha Chaysma Boilet Asala Nicha Umutalachtemba. If someone has a ring that's sticking out, it's also to put it on your hand, because by wearing it, people will be chaysha you. Umutalachtemba, but you could take it, not wearing it, but just use it to stamp the wax, because the impression that it makes is a depression. It's not sticking out, so therefore people are not chayshish you. They're not chayshish for Avodah Zarah for something that is not protruding, but rather depressed. Chaysma shekeya, if the signet ring, instead of having a protrusion, has a depression in it, so when you press into the wax, it causes the wax to stick out. It's mutter to wear it, because there's nothing sticking out that would cause people to be chayshish. But it's also to use it to make a chaysam, because that's going to cause the wax to stick out. The Gemara asks, in general, are we chayish? Are we worried about that someone's going to see and think you're over Avodah Zarah? The Beis HaKnesses in the place called Shafi Yosef in Hardah, the Ukme Be'andrata, they put in it a statue. The father of Shmuel and Levi would used to daven there. They weren't worried that people will see them davening in a place. Obviously, the Goyim had, as part of the oppression of the Jews, had placed one of their statues in the Beis HaKnesses, and they still went to daven. They weren't worried that people would be chayish them for davening to the Avodah Zarah. So Shani, no, that's different. There was a whole shul; they were all davening together. So that is there was no chash of chshada in public, which is the opposite we often see. But for Hesia is also, but legabi chash, people don't sin together. Rabbi Gamliel the Yachid who Hava. What about Rabbi Gamliel? We originally started this. We said there's a pshat. We said that Rabbi Gamliel had made these pictures of the Shemesh of the Levana. He was a Yachid. Why wasn't he concerned that people would be chayshish him for those pictures? So he wasn't really a Yachid. He wasn't treated as a Yachid because he was the Nasi. Many people would come to him. The picture, the tzura of the Levana wasn't a single piece. It was made up of a bunch of pieces, and that's not the way. There's no chash on that because no one would make the Avodah Zarah like that. What we probably thought when you first heard this, when he said it's obviously if he's using it to teach, this is almost part of learning Torah. It's like saying the names of Avodah Zarah for the purpose of telling you what's awesome. So he was doing it to teach people what the it's not specific, not really Islamic directly, because he was using it to test the veracity of the Eidim that were coming for Kiddush HaChodesh, but it's sort of learning adjacent. The Tanya loisilmid lasas avalat olam and lahaven elhairis. You can't learn you can't learn to do kishuf, but you can learn it you can learn about the kishuf to the extent you have to learn about it in order to know what's awesome. So the same thing over here, he had to learn about the levana in order to be able to teach people the different, which kind of levana is good, which sighting of the levana is a kiddush HaChodesh, which is it. The Mishnah continued. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel said that he was machalik. We had said a general rule that you can't make a picture of the Shemesh Levan and the Draken. He says it depends if it's a mechubedik thing, it's aser. If it's not mechubed, it's mutter. What is considered mechubed and what's considered lowly? Those things that if there's a picture on a kli and it's not on the part that where the liquid goes into, if you have on a cup, if it's on the upper part of the cup where the water doesn't go, that's mechubed mevuzin l'matam minamayim. But if it's covered by the liquid in the kli, then it's mevuzin. It's lowly. Shmuel Amar elu elu mevuzin. Hein, anything that's used, if you put a picture of something on a cup, nobody is thinking that's an avodah zara. It's not any kind of decorative thing like a nose ring or a bracelet or a regular ring. Those things that are on a necklace or a nose ring or on a regular ring, wasn't. Those are mechuved. Something that's on a pot or a kumkum is a kettle. Things that are used to warm water. For on different types of cloths and napkins and towels. Rabbi Zakta Mishnah. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Soichik v'zayreya l'ruach aymat aliyam. Rabbi Yossi says if you have an avodah zara, you have a metal avodah zara, you have to grind it up and you cast it to the winds, or else you throw it into the ocean. Amaloi afu nasa zevel. Even this, if you're going to do that, it's going to become fertilizer, and they're going to be benefiting from it. The Torah said you can't have anything. You can't have anything attached to you from that which is avodah zarah. Tanya, Amalem Rabbi Yosef, Alik far nemar v'eschataschem asher asisem es ha'egel lachachti v'eser v'yosef v'eish v'ekes aisi. Rabbi Yosef responded to what they said that there's going to be hana from it, but the pasuk says. This Moshe Rabbeinu was saying about the egel, that this chata that you did, that you made the egel, lakachti, I took it, I burnt it in fire, tachin heitev, and I ground it up very fine, heitev, until it became as fine as dust. And I threw it down in the valley that goes down from the mountain. So l'chayra, he wasn't. So you see, he wasn't concerned about that it was going to fertilize. Amaloi misham raya, you bring a raya from Moshe Rabbeinu, rayu oima, vayizal pnei hamayim, vayashkas bnei Yisrael. That he didn't just throw it as stamazah, he put it into the water, and he used that water he made the yin drink it. Loiniskavan lebayt kan kasaitis. And the intention was, by drinking this water that had the ground up avodah zarah, and this would check whoever was over avodah zarah would be punished, and whoever didn't would be free. So it wasn't being used for fertilizer; it was going directly into water that was being drunk al tzivei Hashem. I'm going to read the pasuk, not from the Gemara, because the Gemara's version has a bunch of mistakes. The Gemara v'gam macha. Aim Asa Hamelech, the Macha, who was the grandmother of Asa Hamelech, Hisira Mikvira, he demoted her from her malchus, asher asal ashera, because she made from an ashera, from a tree that was nevad, mifletzes, a kind of avodah zara. Vayichras also es mafletzeh, he cut it. Vayadek vayisrek v'nachal kidron, and he took it and he ground it up and he threw it in the Nachal Kidron, into this valley. So why weren't we concerned again? For according to the Chacham, Rabbi Yossi is asking, why aren't we concerned for the that it's fertilizing the ground? Amaloi misham raya Nachal Kidron megadol tzmachim. Nachal Kidron is not fertile, so it's not going to help anything. The law is it true? V'atanya elu v'elu misarvim ba'ama. Both the different types of dam that came out of the Beis Hamikdash, different varieties, would get mixed into the Amma, which was the ditch that carried away the blood. But Yotziyem l'Nachal Kidron, it brought it out into this Nachal, this valley of Kidron, which was right near Yerushalayim. They would take the earth that the dam went into and they would sell it as fertilizer. And there was a Issa Me'ila if it wasn't paid for. The dam had to have been paid for, or else it would be, they have to pay hektish for taking that dam. So, but l'chayr, you see, obviously this was not just fertile; it was being sold for fertilizer. That he took it and he put it into the place which it wasn't megadol tzmachim, that wasn't fertile. So the ash, or the dust of that avodah zara, was not able to be used. My maflutzasa, the Gemara, the pasuk had said that he took her. That's what he ground up, was her maflutzasa. Rabbi Yehuda, the haba maflia leitzenusa. It's a acronym of, she used it for tarot, for leitzanos. And the Gemara is going to explain. Rabbi Yosef kamin zakras asala. She made from it a figure of a male, and she used it to be boil on every day. Another case where the Torah, we're going to have a bunch of these cases where the Torah says that a avodah zara was ground up and there was no chash that it was making a mikshel, that now people would be nana from it. It says, this pasuk is in Malachim, talking about a melech. They still had that copper snake that Moshe Rabbeinu had made after the Magefa, after the Egel, in order to stop the Magefa from destroying the Bnei Yisrael. But eventually it was revered as a avodah zara. So this melech took it and he ground it up. Why wasn't he concerned that by grinding it up, it's going to get into the earth and fertilize the earth, and you're going to end up being nana from avodah zara? The Rebbeinu Shalom told Moshe, you should make for yourself this nechashis. Moshe made the nachash by the directive of Hashem, and the Rebbeinu Shalom directed him to make it for himself. The Rebbeinu Shalom said, you finance the creation of this nachash. So this nachash still belonged to Moshe Rabbeinu, or to his, I guess at the time of this melech, it belonged to his descendants, but it wasn't hefker. If it belonged to Moshe and people started being oived it doesn't become an avodah zara. If I have a watch and someone on the guy on the streets starts bowing down to it, he doesn't have the power to answer it. So this was a privately owned thing that wasn't able to become an avodah zara. And it didn't even need to be really ground up, because it never became an object. Even though people were being oived it didn't become a object of avodah zara, chafetz of avodah zara. He did it as a preventative measure, not because it was halachically required, but in order to avoid that people shouldn't be oived it. It says that they left the Plishtim left their avodah zara there. Vayisoim David va'anashav. David, it says Vayisoim. The Gemara is going to say the pashtus of Vayisoim David va'anashav is that they picked it up and took it. The Gemara is going to interpret it differently. Umay mashma the Havi Yisam David Lishna de Zeruyahu. Why are we saying now? The Gemara is asking a kasha, so it's because it's in understanding this word by Yisam as a lotion of casting of zriya, which is winnowing. When you throw something into the wind, it means that they ground it up and threw it into wind. So the Gemara time Rabbi Yosef Tizram Baruch Tisoim, that they're going to winnow it, and the earth and the wind will carry it away. So this by Yisam, we understand that David also threw it into, he ground it up and threw it into it. The Metalin Tazrinun Baruch Taltalunu Taltalina, that they're going to grind it up and the wind will take it away. Amrullah Misham Raya, but in any case, you bring a Raya from this that David ground it up. It says later on that he burnt it. It doesn't say that he did together, that he burnt it and then he was Yisayim. But he said as two separate things. Shemami no Yisayim mamash. That Vayisayim over here is not a lashon of Zriya, because it said it in the other place that it was burnt, and now it's saying Vayisayim. It means that he carried it away. But it's still, what did he do? Did he burn it or did he carry it away? Which one? You're saying it doesn't mean that he was a rayet, that he ground it up, but it also can't be if you burn something up that he carried it away. It says one place that he burnt, and the other place it says he carried away. Like kasha, kam koydem shaba iti hagisi, kam lach shaba iti hagisi. He had this one Avoda Zara who was with them, and he had him be. At first, the intention was to burn it, but then this guy came, and he had the guy be mevatel the Avoda Zara, because a guy could be mevatel an Avoda Zara. So after that, he decided he carried it away. It says that David HaMelech took the atara, the crown of Milcham, was the name of their Avoda Zara, from on its head, and weighed a kikar zav. And that's what he used as his crown. Like the Mara Mishari Suranahu, Amar of Nachman, he said Gitibo Bitla. That the reason why it was mutter was because Isi Agiti was his personal mevatel. Whenever he got any good Avoda Zara, he would have him say, I'm not using it anymore for Avoda Zara, I'm being mevatel it. And then he would use it for himself. How was he able to wear a crown that weighed so much, a mishkal of a kikar zav? He says it was just something. It's not that he actually placed it in his head, but it was roy. It was chashav enough to put on his head, but it wasn't practical. The havis darala. It had a magnet that he had like a metal thing in his on his throne, and that was what supported the crown, but it wasn't actually on his head. He said, it had just a jewel in it that was worth a kikar of zav, but it didn't actually weigh that much. That David HaMelech said, I have this because I was your pigudecha, which is your Torah, that which you entrusted in me, Natsarti, I watched. My kama, what was he saying? Hachi kama, because I was careful and I guarded your commandments. This crown was an edus to me. My edus. So what was the edus? Somebody Shuman Levi, tefillin. He put it on the makam tefillin. And it fitted. But how could he keep a crown on the place of the tefillin? He has to also wear tefillin. Those days they used to wear tefillin all day. There's enough room on the head for tvei tefillin, so he put the tefillin in the proper spot, and the crown was next to it. That the sons of the king put on their head the nazer, what was the nazer? I think. So what is the Gemara is going to say? What the nazer is? Nazer zuklila. Nazer is the crown. Edis. Rabbi Yehuda Amarav. Edis who LeBeis David shechola roy lemalchus hol masay. B'chol shein roy lemalchus ein masay. It only fit on those that were roy lemalchus and not those who were not. Va'adiniyoah ben Chagas misnasa leim ani emlech. Adiniyoah ben Chagas was the rival for Shlomo HaMelech. He wanted to make himself king. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav shemisnasa l'hol by v'loy hol masay. He tried to put on this crown of David and it didn't fit him. Just continuation. Once we were talking about Adonijah, that he made for himself a wagons or chariots and accompaniments and 50 men Ratzim Lefanav running in front of him. My Rebbesayu, what was so special about these 50 men? Tanakulum Netule Tchayil, they all had their spleens removed. That makes them fast. And they had their soles of the heels toughened. They could run under any circumstances. Okay, let's do another, if you don't mind, another 10 minutes. Maybe we'll get started on this next Amid. So that's the Mishnah. Shal Pruklus ben Philophus. He was Proclus was the name of a guy, an Ovid Avoda Zara. He was the son of someone named as a philosopher. Yes, Gamliel in Akka. Aphrodite. He was washing himself. Rabbi Gamliel was using a Beis HaMerchatz that had a statue of Aphrodite, which was one of their Avodah Zaras, outside. How are you able to do this? The Torah says you can't have anything from the Avodah Zarah. He said, I can't respond to you in the Merchatz because you can't say to the Torah. First of all, I did not come into her space. That means the Merchatz was here before the statue was placed there. So placing the statue doesn't answer the Merchatz. In addition, this is not This is not, the Merchatz is not part of the Avodah Zarah. It's not there as a decoration for the statue. Rather, the statue is just a decoration for the Merchatz, and it doesn't make the Merchatz awesome. Davar Achar, another response to him. If I would pay you a lot of money, you wouldn't go unclothed in front of an Avodah Zarah, ubalkari, or as a balkari, or mashim b'fanel, or to relieve yourself in front of it. This, you're saying this is an Avodah Zarah, the statue. People come and they relieve themselves in front of it all the time. So it's obviously not an Avodah Zarah. It's just a what do you call it? A noi. Why is that? If they don't treat it as a god, it's not also. It's only if they treat it in the way that you would treat a god, and the fact that it's in the street and people do what they wish in front of it, right? It's just a picture. It's just a decoration. How could he have done this? How could he respond to him in the Beis HaMerchatz? And if you'll say he responded to him in the Lashon Chol, so how could he have said to him, I can't respond to you in the Beis HaMerchatz? That itself is a Dvar Torah, right? That's a halacha. Like we see, Dvarim Shel Kodesh, Asalam B'Lashon Chol. You can't say it under any circumstance. How is he able to tell him, I can't answer you? Tanak Shiyatza Amaloi, Eim Meshivim B'Merchatz. After he left, he told this Proclus, the reason why I didn't respond to you is because I couldn't answer in the Beis HaMerchatz. Amar Chaber Yes, Berebi Amar Avaishia. Shuba Gnuva his Shibur Gamliel Oisa Hegman. V'ani Omer Ene Gnuva. He said that it was a Chama Bar Yosef Beribi said Reb Gamliel gave an answer that wasn't really correct, and I say it's not really it's not really incorrect. That means Reb Gamliel was just trying to push him off, but I think there actually is substance to the answer. I'm going to have a bunch of different examples of what that could be referring to. He said to him that this is not really an Avodah Zara because it's standing by the trough and people relieve themselves. What does it make a difference if they're mashmah? The par they would be Ovid Avodah Zara by relieving themselves with soya in front of it. It's not bottle. That was the way they were Ovid it. But there's no that's not a raya. Certainly, it's also if that's the way of being Ovid. But over here, it's just a sign of disregard that they relieve themselves. That the merchatz was here before the statute. What does it make a difference if the merchatz is batznan? That that has a merchatz or a garden, you can be nana from it, from the garden or the merchatz, as long as you don't show appreciation. But you can't. But if you show appreciation, it's awesome. So that it sounds like had this Avodah Zarah, this Aphrodite, been there before the Beis HaMerchatz, it would have been awesome. But we see it doesn't make a difference as long as you don't thank the person, you don't thank the Avodah Zarah, it's mutter. When Gamliel doesn't say thank you, it's the same thing as other people saying thank you. Because Gamliel was a very chashuv person, so his mere appearance there was as if it was showing fealty to the Avodah Zarah. Rav Sim Bachia, I'm a gnuvasa mehachdik. Amalei zu amedes alabe v'chol ad mishtinim b'faneh. V'choshin b'faneh may havi v'tanan rock b'faneh hishim b'faneh gira v'zark b'asat tzaya harezu eine b'tela. And doing any of these things is not mevatel. Any of these things, if you do, so you see that these things are not mevatel and avodah zara. So how could Rabbi Gamliel suggest that the fact that people are relieving themselves in front of it is mevatel avodah zara? Those things we said are not mevatel avodah zara. All these different things. Because just something does one time because he got angry at it. So we don't say that's mevatel. But later he'll go back and be over it. Over here, it's a regular degradation that shows that it's a real bit. It's normal for people to relieve themselves. We said that it's not that the Beis HaMerchatz is a decoration for the Aphrodite, but rather the other way around. Even if the Merchatz would be a decoration for Aphrodite, with that answer, just saying this is dedicated to Avodas Kechavim is not it does not make it usher. It's only if you actually are oived something, but not if you make it an accessory to it. Even though it wouldn't become usher bahana, but it might be usher because of like as a gzeira, that if people would it would be usher because if people would go to a thing that's being used as a decoration for Avodah Zarah, we're concerned that they'll end up being oived. Okay, Yasher Kayach, thanks for the extra 5 minutes.
Thank you.